For you tuning into Operating on Purpose, you might be used to hearing us dive into specific operational leadership topics. We thought we might give you a little closer look at who we are, so we're doing things a little differently today. Welcome to an Operating on Purpose bonus episode. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Penny Cook, a fractional COO and strategic operations consultant for product and consumer brands. I help founders install, upgrade, and run scalable operations that reflect their unique vision and ambition. Little background. My career has taken me from early stage startups to global enterprises, sitting in both the chief operating officer seat and the chief product officer seat, and navigating everything from rapid growth to acquisition to integration. I've worked with brands like Microsoft and L'Oreal, and with some of the most ambitious founder-led companies that you may not have heard of yet. I come from a technical and management consulting background, which gave me the ability to walk into almost any business, diagnose what's getting in the way, and build something that actually works. I'm a UC Berkeley trained COO, a board member at Naturally Seattle, and co-founder of Cook and Brand. Building this podcast with Sarah has given me a platform for a conversation I've wanted to have publicly for a long time, while I too continue to grow and learn. I'm really glad you're here for it, and I feel especially lucky to have Sarah as my podcast partner.
Thank you, Penny. I am so glad too. I'm Sarah Wilson. I'm a fractional COO and operational turnaround partner for founder-led small to medium businesses. I help scaling companies unlock growth with the tools and teams they already have by installing structure and repeatable processes that turn ambition into execution. I come from a pretty broad cross-functional section within both B2B and B2C contexts. While I started my career in sales, I moved through various functions, including finance, procurement, data analysis, project management, and operations. My background is fairly technical without being a programmer. I'm often the layer in between IT and the business, and I often find myself leading fairly technical projects like ERP enhancements or internal tool developments. I've often had the opportunity to move across different functions because of the reputation I have of smoothing work out and making people's kind of day to day better. I make things more productive. And as a result, that tends to make people's day easier and, of course, increasing in morale. I believe that my experience across the business function really lets me kind of see businesses from the 360, if you will, and I love to learn. And after a long career of specializing in ERPs, I'm very excited to share that I'm on a journey to level up my skills and abilities with AI. I use it a fair bit in my own business, and I'm excited to get to kind of a technical level with AI that I have in ERP. I'm also, alongside being founder of Brightpoint Operations, my own fractional CEO firm. I'm proud to be the president of the local project management professional chapter, as well as I'm certified change manager as well. So I bring those unique lenses to business as well. And with this
Sarah,
pod,
I'm so lucky to get to work next to you. And I hope our listeners feel lucky that they get to hear our perspective on things that, you and I have both seen so many things in our career. And we both have drifted into operations as an area that we're both really passionate about. And yet still, when we go into our client businesses, we're still surprised by things that we find. And that's
yes.
one of the most exciting parts of this role for me.
Oh, yeah.
So normally we would give you 3 insights about the topic we're talking about. So what we're going to do today is ask each other 3 questions so you can get to know us
I
a
love
little
this.
bit better. Yep.
Great.
So Sarah,
Hmm.
what's your philosophy around operations? We just talked a lot about how we have great operational backgrounds and this is what we want to bring to the table. What's your can you encapsulate your philosophy?
Absolutely. So when it comes to my philosophy, I'm really passionate about developing the next generation of leaders. I've had quite a history of coaching and developing and mentoring really, really amazing teams. So, with that in mind, looking to the future, my fundamental philosophy is that operations should be an area where people strive to be and not somewhere where people end up. because because of the high technical nature of operations in a lot of cases, sometimes people find themselves there, and that's maybe not where they intended. Or I really believe that operations as a function really drives our businesses, so it really should be where we strive to be in our careers.
I couldn't agree with you more. In my mind, operations is the place that makes the business the business. You can have a vision, you can have a product, but if you don't have a way to turn that into a business, you're not going to be here for long, right?
Exactly.
And that's what good operators do is they take all of that and they take that magic and they make it reality.
Absolutely. So
I
with
love that
that,
perspective,
I'd
Sarah.
love to hear what your philosophy is around operations.
Ooh, my philosophy. So I firmly believe that your operation is your competitive advantage, and that if you set up your operation properly in understanding what your unit economics are, what the inner workings of your team are, how everything clicks together, your competitors are out there looking at you going, how did they make that work?
Yeah.
How did that happen? And it looks like magic, but it is a lot of work. It's a lot of coordination. And it's a lot of using the things that we're talking about in this podcast to really put together a machine where the gears are turning each other. And when it becomes a machine, you're forming habits, you're forming culture, and those things compound positively in companies. And you can see in growing companies that are putting out really good work how they have successfully built those machines. And those are the kinds of businesses that you and I are helping our clients build.
I really love that philosophy, Penny. It makes me, I think we're the same in that one of my favorite things about working with founders is getting to be the one who helps bring that vision to life, right? Like that founder who's passionate about what they do, and then someone like us is there in the room to really take care of all of those mechanics and things in the background and let that passionate business person just do the thing that they do best.
That's right. That's right. And that is really the COO's job. I always picture a business as the CEO is standing and looking out at the world. What is the vision? What is the opportunity? Who are we talking to out in the world about our business and, in that huge ecosystem? And the COO is standing back to back with his CEO looking inward at the company going, I'm going to take this vision coming from this person and make it reality with this organization. And that is the COO's job. And, I love that translation layer and being given the leeway to be creative and bringing a vision that someone has to life. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. So with that, going to move to another question
Okay.
for you, Penny.
What you
What
got?
is your operational superpower?
My operational superpower. That is a great question. I feel like I have a few, but the one that I'll call out here is I have an ability, and I think it's really important to, I want to say, play the hand that I'm dealt rather than the
Ooh,
hand that I want. And, there are a lot of times in business, there's a lot of times outside of business that you're making decisions based on how you want things to be, but it doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go because the things are not aligned around you. So, how do we look at what we want to have happen? How do we look at the reality of the way the cards have been laid out in front of us? And how do we arrange that in a way that we can have control over our business and get that vision out there into the world? And that is my superpower is not skating over things, not ignoring or hoping our way into a future, but really looking solidly at what our assets and liabilities are and how to build into a real vision from that.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Give me a cape. Sarah, what's your superpower?
My superpower. I especially am passionate about, really love, and find myself attracted to messy. So the messier, the better. My favorite thing is to untangle big, technical, challenging, politically challenging, the hot potato thing or the highly technical thing that is where many have attempted in the past to get whatever that is over the line. I've built a reputation for getting those kinds of things over the line. And why I call that a superpower is because I use kind of the all the tools in my toolkit. Besides being a change manager and a project manager, I'm also a designated Six Sigma green belt. So I really I think about things almost in 3D. and I think through all the challenges that come from everywhere because sometimes people forget that little things matter just as much as big things. So I like to actually, when I build a project plan, that plan to get through the messiness, if you will, and I get really down to the detail. I do that for all the functions because I've worked in all the functions. And with that, I'll be able to identify where these little things that catch us off guard, where those are, and deal with them in advance.
Yeah, your operational leaders should have superpowers like that. They
Hmm.
should know what they are, and they should also know where they don't have powers and they fill in their team to
Yes.
complement them. There's no reason to build a team with everyone having that same strength or same superpower. And Sarah, I will also let our audiences know that you and I also share a different superpower that we bring to this world, which is we're also both working moms.
Yes.
And we're both super proud of our
Yes.
kids. So,
Absolutely.
our careers are our careers, but we do have you and I both have 2 pretty full-time gigs.
Yep. Oh, yes. Proud parents. And it's funny, before I had kids, I had no idea. And I had someone say, they tell you about how much you're going to love your kids. And you're like, no, how, really? And then they arrive and you're like, yep, that's right. I
Yeah.
love that.
So, Sarah, as our last question, can you tell our listeners something surprising about you? Or something they wouldn't necessarily know?
Yes, I love that. Thank you for that question. I'm actually a swing dancer. I haven't done it for many years, but I used to kind of earlier on in life. I was participating in the swing dance scene, if you will, where I lived for. I would go sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes as many as five, because in the summer there was more events. And a little bit of a funny share around that. Many years later, I found myself at a company and we were on a leadership retreat. And it turns out that the person facilitating that retreat was somebody I used to swing dance with. So out on the fly, that facilitator went to go hug them and they actually just kind of twirled me around and went, "Oh, she still knows." And he made swing dancing part of his facilitation at the last minute. So I actually did that dancing in front of the entire leadership team, all of my peers, and even our managing director was looking like I didn't plan this. So yeah, that's a little nugget about me.
I love that. And I want to say that totally tracks because I think there's a lot in common between being an operational leader and being a swing dancer in that you have to look at your partner
Hmm.
and pace with them. You have to look at the energy
Yes.
they're putting out there. You have to look at the direction that they want and you have to complement that. And there's a lot of that in being an operational leader at looking at the visionaries and the other leaders you're working with in the company and kind of swing dance with them, with your organization, right?
Yes, it is very much a delicate dance, isn't it? So tell me, Penny, what I need to know. What's the surprising fact you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah. So I don't think it'll surprise anybody to tell you I grew up in Philadelphia. I'm a city kid. I don't live there and I haven't lived there for a long time, but my family is still there. But growing up in Philly, um, me and my brother and my cousins, we all worked in our family business, which was our grandfather's newsstand in Center City, Philly. And so from the time I was born, essentially, I spent a lot of time at that newsstand. As I got older, I got to sell candy and newspapers and soft pretzels in Philly and water ice, I should say, from our cart. And it was both a great family experience that we were so proud of this business, but also it's where I got my grind. It's where I learned like it doesn't matter if it's hot or you have customers who are counting on you, you have a business that's counting on you, and you stand there on that street corner and you get business done and you treat your customers the way they deserve to be treated. And in Philly, that could be a little rough, but we had such a great time. And I really learned how to be in a service industry around people from the time I was very young. And so I'm so proud of that part of my background.
Love that. And I think it's so important to, to love business as well. When you make operations, your path in your career is the love of business really helps drive us to do it well, to establish that sense of excellence. You really have to love it to also be passionate about making it run well. fixing the issues that come up. Like the drive you need to be really good in operations comes from loving how business works. And it sounds like you had a really great introduction into that. And that's
Yep.
really, really
For
wonderful.
sure. For sure. It wasn't easy and we didn't always say kind things about it, but in retrospect, it was one of the best things that my brother and my cousins and I got to experience with my grandfather.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Well, I can't thank you enough, Penny, for taking a little bit of a break from our regular
Same.
content
Yeah.
today. Yeah, and it was really wonderful to get to know you a little bit better, and I hope our listeners enjoyed the mini break from content. We're back at it with the next episode, and we really hope that everybody enjoyed it. And again, we're always available. If you want to visit our website or connect with either one of us on LinkedIn, we'd love to hear from you because, as we always say, great businesses don't just happen, they operate on purpose.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Penny. Have a great one. See you
Yeah,
next
you too.
time.
See you next time.